How's it going, everybody? We are back with another live edition of the Ad Podcast, and we have Niki Herr, the Chief Operations Officer of Xpedition, a experiential marketing agency, a content studio out here doing some amazing work for Google and having a great time on the Palais and seeing what's going on. Niki, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Good to be here.
So do you want to tell me just a little about yourself, a little about your position at the agency,
Sure.
and what makes you guys different?
Yeah, so I work at Xpedition. We're kind of three agencies in one, three companies in one. We're an experiential agency that does a lot of event work. We marry, I would say, just truly outstanding, like gritty, get shit done production skills from some of the best in the business with amazing, creative, kind of that magic talent. We put those things together really well. We're here with Google. That's one of the reasons I'm here at Cannes. We're activating a ton of spaces for them this week. We have a kind of a culturally first content studio that does a lot of social work, a lot of social strategy, and just really beautifully done content. And we actually spoke at South by Southwest about some of that work last week. So they're doing amazing work with that
South
group.
by London?
Yeah.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, and it was fun to be at the inaugural.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things. Did you enjoy yourself?
I wasn't there.
Okay, but you heard
but
good things too?
Yeah, we have a group of folks in London as well.
Nice.
We're in the US, Canada, London, and we're fully remote, so we're kind of all over the place, and it works really well for us.
Nice.
But the London team was there along with Nandy Smythe, who leads creative strategy for us, who spoke with our YouTube client. And word on the ground was the content was fantastic, but there was a lot of lines. Maybe it's first year organizational challenges.
Right.
Looking forward to
just working out the kinks, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I think the foundation of all the content and the quality there was there. So it's like just work out the other kinks. It's going to be great next year.
I love it. Yeah. I feel like I want to try some of those. I heard some good things last night at a dinner from some folks at Oz about the Sydney one as well. So it's so cool that they're
I heard
all
that
over
one
now.
was good too. I had some friends there. And then the third part is, and we were talking about earlier, we have a separate entertainment studio, and not an agency entertainment studio. It's actually an entertainment studio that does film, TV, and Broadway production, standalone business unit on that side. But that's one of the reasons I think the content is really interesting that we do, because we do kind of course, like blend those things together for clients when it makes sense.
Nice. And I heard you won a Tony this year at the content studio.
Yeah, Hunter and team won a Tony last week for Sunset Boulevard, because we were producers on that show, along with a bunch of other shows too, actually.
Wow. That's amazing. So anything bring you to Cannes besides the work with Google?
Oh, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
It's so my background is experiential. Okay. I mean, integrated marketing, all kinds of work and strategy, but I come from like events. I worked at Momentum and Jack Morton. And so this is, there's a lot of amazing panels with very cool CMOs talking about what's going on with them. So I just love absorbing that information and having conversations with people about what's going on with their businesses and how things are changing. And every year I feel like I get an update here on that. But then it's also, because I come from production, this is like, it's a big reunion. This is like experiential land, right?
Yeah,
producers everywhere. So you run into a lot of people I've worked with over the last couple of decades.
You see a lot of friends.
Yeah, it's really fun catching up.
Yeah, same thing.
All the event folks are here.
Totally. Yeah, I've been on the biz dev side, so I see, every few feet I run into somebody from the past. But I think that's a fun part of it, is just kind of, touching base with people you haven't seen maybe in a little bit to reconnect. And I imagine as an experiential producer and somebody with that background, it's also probably quite a classroom to kind of see the latest ways that brands are showing up. Anything exciting about the work with Google that you want to touch on for what you guys did this year? Yeah,
I mean, I think one of the things that's really fun for us is that we work with a bunch of different teams across the Alphabet portfolio.
Nice.
And Rachel George, who runs our events group, she is just a pro at finding efficiencies and producing in really interesting strategic ways. And so one of the things we did here was basically get on the ground, work with a ton of different teams and find a ton of efficiencies. So we've taken over basically like a street for them in a bunch of ancillary spaces, and we're sharing staff, we're sharing resources, and we're working with the same restaurants. And it's just, we've saved them so much money and made their lives so much easier by having it in, setting it up in a way that's really efficient for everyone.
That's smart.
So really proud of, I mean, the work is great. It's beautiful and creative, but it's also just like, it just works. It gets the job done. It's efficient for clients.
It's important, that the how the end outcome is made is as seamless as the actual, how the customer, the end user sees it.
Yeah.
You want the experience to be great for the client.
Totally.
Deliver value.
Yeah, and I mean, we're lucky the clients have said thank you and they appreciate it and they see the value, and so I think that makes everybody feel good about what they're doing. Google is a fantastic client. We're really lucky to work with them.
Totally. That's awesome. Were you on any panels or anything this week?
Yes.
Nice.
Let's see, what have I done? I was on a panel with at Converge about what's happening with Pride this year. So we talked about, what's the long-term investment, how are brands doing it, what brands are pulling out, whether or not that's the right strategy. I think cohesively all said no.
Yeah, right.
For very obvious reasons. It was a great conversation about the representative from GLAAD was there talking about, the market opportunity and the number of people that are within that community and the oversized impact they have on Gen Z. Like, marketers really should be paying attention to being inclusive and incorporating that demographic into their marketing, because it's when you include the demographic, it's like almost 30% of Gen Z is identifying that way. I mean, it's huge. You cannot ignore it. And then the allies are, when you take that number, I mean, it goes through the roof. So it was a really interesting conversation about, I think, how brands can make decisions very reactively, and maybe not look, I mean, in some cases aren't really looking at the data behind those decisions.
They're looking at PR voices that are kind of amplified. And, it's interesting. I spoke to a gentleman who runs partnerships from Reverie. He talked about, it's a minority group of 10% of the U.S. population at large. You talked already about the changing demographics with young people, but also the next smallest group is Latinos at 25%. The LGBTQ plus has, I think, 6x the buying power of the entire Latino demographic. So, if you talk about the opportunity as far as consumers are concerned, if you're a luxury marketer or if you're a marketer that is marketing to travel, lifestyle, anything with people with discretionary income, you would probably ignore that at your own dismay.
And it's a group, it's a community that pays very close attention to what brands are doing. They're not flippant about it. They know exactly. I mean, they keep lists. They know who's participating, who's not participating.
They want to see who is perceived as an ally.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just slip by and pretend not to participate. Like, they'll know, and they're very loyal to the brands that do it well. I mean, so loyal. Like, it's in a lot of ways, it's a really easy market to capture if you just do it thoughtfully and in the right way, and you build long-term sustained loyalty, which is what everybody wants. Yeah,
we talked about Target in that interview as well. And it wasn't necessarily like I was like, didn't they pull out of Pride in their own home territory, like in Minneapolis? And what was interesting is they didn't pull out. They wanted to sponsor it, but Pride in Minneapolis kicked them out. They wouldn't take their money because of their positioning or how they handled, whatever, that situation was. So, it's interesting. Like, you've got to think about the negative ramifications, not just the, the positive, it's not like you're just taking money away, you're actually alienating.
And
you're just not, I didn't decide to do a Super Bowl this year. Well, NFL fans aren't going to boycott you for that, I don't think. Well, and the old playbook, I mean, one of the things we talked about was that the old playbook doesn't work anymore. Like, you make a misstep and you just stay quiet. That's what you used to, I mean, I come from PR. That's what you used to do. You just shut up until the cycle goes through and you're not in the news anymore. And it's with this group, it sustains. Like, you can't stay quiet and pretend it'll go away. Yeah, totally. That's wild. Anything else you explored this week? What else has been going on? I mean, the event activations have been great, per usual. I love how the brands are showing up in really interesting ways.
I'll say it feels a little bit more business this year. Like people are here
it's
for
a marketplace.
sales.
Yeah, totally.
Like that. I mean, it's still a fun space to come.
Yeah.
It's a good place to explore and play and be creative.
You're getting hit up by a lot of reps.
Doing deals.
That's great.
But I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
We, as much as I love that this space is like for fun and for interactions and for networking, it's also, it is a place
it's a
to do
business
business.
market.
And it's a great place to do business depending on what you're here to achieve.
Because you have everybody here.
Yeah, people take the time for the meetings. I mean, how it's hard to nobody sits down and does meetings all day, every day for a week in any business anywhere.
I don't feel like they take meetings at all anymore.
I know.
They take Zoom calls, and
Right.
You're lucky if they're eating a sandwich or
And they're in an inspired, I think, mindset. They're like more open to change and trying new things when they're here and they're around this environment.
I think you're right. I think people have a toggle switch now. Yeah. It's almost like an out of office filter. Like people are not open to cold LinkedIn, cold email, like kind of some of the things that used to work. But when they come to an event like this, they kind of like flip the door open, sign on. They're actually going to compress. They're totally open to meeting new people for 4 days. If you can figure out how to break through and meet them, whether it's by intention or kismet, they're out there and they're ready to, build new relationships, hear pitches. It's just like get shit done. And then like when I go back to the office, I'm going to, put that close sign back up, which is,
I know, heads down, get things done.
Yeah. Or just, I think the office has become a sacred space again. It's not for vendors, it's for team, it's for client interaction, it's for community building. And it's not, a place that salespeople are as welcome as they used to be just by giving them a coffee or a lunch, So,
it is harder to get time. It's harder to get time. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we've been seeing with our clients, and anytime I have a conversation with a prospective client, is how much of the budget is moving to events and experiential. And I think it's for that reason, because it's harder and harder and harder to get people just kind of like on a Tuesday when you have your own space set up, when you pulled them in and there's a value to being there, either like thought leadership or entertainment or whatever it is. You're more likely to have a good conversation around what you're doing.
Yeah, it's that pivot back to the importance of IRL, like URL to IRL, I like to say.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if folks want to learn more about your guys' agency, or if they want to connect with you directly, where do you want to send folks?
Well, you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Niki Herr, NikiHerr, like very active on that platform and respond to messages. You're welcome to visit our website. It's Xpedition, Xpedition.com. And we're always, happy to meet with partners, talk to brands, on the entertainment side, work with other producers or distributors. So we're open to conversations.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on and saying hi.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cheers.